The lesson plan objective is to recognize and generate equivalent fractions. To start the lesson plan, I would ask the students some ways that they use fractions in their everyday life. Some responses could be when they cut a pizza, measuring for baking or cooking, and calculating the percentage off of a sale while shopping. To start the lesson off, I would introduce them to their fraction strips. I'd have them grab the 1/2 and then grab 1/2 and take note that 1/2 is half of a whole, and make note that it takes 2 halves to make 1 whole. I would then have the students grab 1/3 and have them take note that it takes 3 1/3 to make 1 whole. Then I'd have students grab the 1/4 and have them take note that it takes 4 1/4 to make 1 whole. So another thing I would do to get students to recognize their fractions is I would have them take note that, say we're doing 1/3, so 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 1. Another way that they could look at this would be to make a number line from 0 to 1 and have it go 0, have them partition it into 3. So 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3 equals 1. And then I'd give students a little bit more time to look at the fraction strips and get familiar with them, play around with them. And then we would move on to our word problems. Students would be required to write the word problems in their math journal as well. So the first one would be, for a classroom party, the teacher ordered 2 pizzas. 1 pizza was veggie and 1 pizza was cheese. At the end of the party, there was 4/8 cheese and 2/8 veggie. Which pizza had the most at the end of the party? So for this, students could make circles or squares, whichever. I think squares are easier to look at. So have veggie and cheese and partition it into 1/8. That's going to be a bit too small. And so at the end of the party, they had 2/8 veggie and 4/8 of cheese. So I would show students that to show how much was eaten, we would have to shade in some of these pieces. So for the veggie, I'd ask them how many pieces they would need to shade in, and their response should be 2. So 2/8. And then for the cheese, I'd ask them again how many pieces we should shade in, and their response should be 4. And then from there, I'd ask students which pizza had the most left, and students should be able to see that the veggie had the most left at the end of the party. I would also show the students the number line for this too. I really like using the number line because I think it's more of a conceptual way to look at it, especially for standardized testing. They're not going to have fraction strips for the more complicated problems. So we'd make our number line, and we'd go from 0 to 1 again, and we would partition the number line into eighths. And then we could separate it into colors, so the bottom blue could be for veggie. So 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. And so since there was 2/8 veggie, we would dot that off. And then we could use another color for cheese. We would do the same thing. 0/8, 1/8, 2/8. And since there was 4/8 cheese, we could dot that off. And since the question was asking us which pizza had the most left at the end of the party, we could see that the veggie would have the most left by looking at the number line. And then our next question is, Jane and Elijah went out to lunch. Jane ate 1/3 of her cookie and Elijah ate 2/6 of his cookie. Who ate more of their cookie? So we would do the same thing all over again. We would make 2 boxes. And since there's more pieces, there's different pieces for each cookie, might be a little bit more difficult for students to look at. So Jane ate 1/3 and Elijah ate 1/6. So, okay. I would then ask the students how many pieces I should shade in for Jane since she ate 1/3, and they would say 1, and then I'd ask them for Elijah, and he ate 2/6. Like this, it might be a little difficult for students to see who ate more, less, or equal. So this is where the number line would come in handy again. Or they could simply look at their fraction strips. So Jane ate 1/3 and Elijah ate 2/6, and students would be able to see that they ate the same amount by looking at their fraction strips. Okay. So, moving on, I would ask the students if they had any further questions, and if they did, I would answer them for them, and if the students didn't seem like they were getting it, I'd make up more problems for them to do. And so, for the guided practice, they're doing a pizza activity. They're each given a question and the supplies they need to make their pizza. I went ahead and made an example of a pizza. And my question was, Shannon has 6 erasers. She gave 1 to Jesse and 2 to Joey. She keeps the rest. What fraction of erasers did she give away? So I cut my pizza into ninths, and I shaded 3 pieces. So there's my pizza. And then after the students completed their problems, I would have them do their independent practice question, which is based on what you have learned about equivalent fractions. Explain using words, pictures, and symbols why 2/4 equals 1/2. Okay, and that's it.